Hello everyone, this initial look at the game .Disrupt will go over the general mechanics of gameplay for all players, how a round flows, and the overarching goals of the game. Disrupt is an asymmetric microeconomic simulation of Silicon Valley. Players take on different roles and use investment, research and development, marketing, and negotiation to outplay their opponents. The roles are starter-upper, BPO, angel investor, and market leader. I'll do more dedicated videos for each player in the future that explains their nuances, as well as explanations about cards or different parts of the board, so hit the subscribe button if you are interested in learning more about Disrupt. The goal of the game is to have the most money at the end of the game. The amount of money is represented by the symbol that looks like an M with lines through it, and that money is tabulated on the credit cards that each player receives. The path taken to get the most money is dependent on the strengths and weaknesses of each player's business, which will be discussed in another video. The game is played in 6 rounds of 3 phases each. The 3 phases are Operation Phase, Project Phase, Event Phase. Let's walk through each of these phases one by one. In the Operations Phase, players place workers and then take the corresponding actions that go along with that process. For worker placement, the workers are placed on an available location on the board or cards placed by the board by the angel investor or BPO. The player puts their meeple at the top of the card and moves it down the card one action at a time until they are stacking at the lowest point. What does this mean? If there are no other meeples on the card, the player gets to take 4 different actions. If there are 3 meeples on the card, they only get to take 1 action. The players must account for both the actions they want to take as well as the volume of actions they will get to choose when they place their meeple on the card, and this will drive their choices. In the Projects phase, after all players place all workers, then the following steps occur. 1. Resolve workflow. 2. Move each project 1 step in the pipeline. And then you move to the Event phase where you reveal an event card and resolve the action from top to the bottom. And then finally, discard worker placement cards and return the workers to the players to start the next round. For the Projects phase, you also need to resolve the workflow. You do this by resolving all cards in the workflow of the project at the same time. If an order is necessary, you resolve from top to bottom. Players get to choose whether they trigger each card in their workflow. Some of these cards benefit or penalize other players. As part of this process, players can negotiate a contract to guarantee a trigger for cards that are beneficial, or agree to stop a trigger for penalties. Money or a company share can be traded as compensation. Add all the actions of the cards and allow the net impact of these cards to happen. For example, if one card said that you lose a design cube and another card said you gain a design cube, the net difference would be to gain 1 design cube. When moving projects on the project pipeline, move each project to the right, starting with the projects that are furthest right in the pipeline. If fewer than 3 projects are placed in the pipeline, then the starter-upper places 1 project of their choice at the first step in the pipeline. Each project has a secret parameter token assigned to it that will be revealed at the end of the game in the scoring phase and will impact the project by adding a cube of one color and subtracting a cube of another color. The significance of the cubes is that they will impact the market share cubes during final scoring at the end of the game, which in turn will impact the amount of money a player has, which is the goal. We'll go into more detail about the final scoring later in this video. During the event phase, an event is revealed and players resolve it from top to bottom. Social hype tokens are relevant here when the card says the public will buy a share at a specific price, then the higher social hype is the tiebreaker to determine which share will be purchased. When a share is bought from the public, it is put on sale on the bottom row for 8. If there is a share there, it slides down to 7 and continue that pattern, 7 to 6, 6 to 5, etc. But only if there are already shares blocking at those prices. After resolving the event, then slide all of the shares on the public market to the right and fill in any remaining slots, starting with the shares with the highest social hype. After an event has been resolved, it stays on top of the deck and the special ability remains active until replaced. Finally, as the event phase ends, the worker meeples are returned to the players. When determining final scoring, the first thing you do is to reveal the secret parameters tokens and assign market share cubes following these rules. Understand that the starter-upper and market leader have projects in each row that are competing with one another. The competing projects are Meeple Book versus Miniature Prime, Card Flicks versus Board Tube, and Dice Coin versus Eternium. The project with the most cubes of a color takes 2 market share cubes. The project with the least cubes of a color takes 1 market share cube. When the projects tie, you place 1 market share cube on each. The total number of market share cubes on the competing pairs of projects should be 10. If the number is lower than 10, give the project with the higher amount of total project cubes more market share cubes until the number is 10. If the two projects tie in the amount of project cubes, give the cubes to the rightmost project. Next, the bull and bear tokens are revealed, and that will modify the market size track accordingly. And then you gain money based on your position in the brand equity track. The higher you are in the track, the more money you get. After figuring out the market share cubes, each player gains money equal to the number of market share cubes the associated player has. Add up the total money, and the highest number wins. So that is a surface run-through of Disrupt. We'll discuss card mechanics, the locations on the board, and how the asymmetric players play in more depth and detail in other videos. Enjoy the game as you disrupt the market.